Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
With practice and qualifying done from the Glen, Brian and I are in to get you set for this week's race at Watkins Glen. Brian Twining, we had practice, we had qualifying, we had Ryan effing Blaney put it on the pole. Interesting day. Where's your head at? How are you doing? What are we thinking?
Well, in the order of those words for Mr. Blaney, I'm taking the effing and putting that at the beginning of his name as somebody who had Shane Van Gisbergen on the pole outside of the show. So yeah, that is maybe the first time ever I'm mad at Ryan Blaney. But yeah, quite impressive by him.
First time you're mad at Ryan Blaney for doing something good. We've been mad at Ryan Blaney for doing lots of things before, but not winning and not putting in the pole.
Yeah, good point there. But yeah, I mean, super impressive run by him. I do think that Shane had a lot more left in the tank, especially with the first group. It was interesting how the two groups were split on speed. Practice, they were much faster, but the second group actually looked at long run pace versus short run pace. I don't know if you can throw it away or even do anything with it, because I think the first group was caught by surprise by the fall off late in their run. So yeah, you're going to have to kind of throw away some of the laps there, but yeah, I'm super excited for the race. Shane should be freaking incredible, but yeah, I'm ready to dive into this DFS slate, because it's going to be.
Let's dive into the DraftKings pricing. You can give us your thoughts as you watch practice and qualifying. We can kind of run through some things that stand out, some potential areas to get invested, and we can talk about like just in general kind of thoughts. Obviously, we'll head over as Caesars does have outrights up at the time of recording, so we're very excited about that. We could talk about the outrights. As always, our full newsletter will be up, aoppodcast.substack.com, aoppodcast.substack.com. Appreciate everybody who's been going over there, checking it out, subscribing, doing all things completely free. You're welcome to sponsor us if you want, but you don't have to. It's a completely free option. Full betting card, grid rival targets, all that good stuff. So let me present, and I can let you see the prices and we can talk about it. So let me share my screen. This one. If you're new here and you haven't hit the subscribe button, or if you've subscribed and you haven't hit the like button, do that now. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. Give us that interaction, because that's how we get shared to other like-minded NASCAR fans. Keep building up that subscriptions, likes, views, all that good stuff. We are trying to get to 1,500 subs. We have a couple races left to do it. So we'd really appreciate you guys getting us there. And if we do, we could do a giveaway, $100. You're in your account, wherever you want it. So trying to pull this up, but that's what I want to do, because I was looking at the schedule, Brian, before we dive into this week's race. Obviously, the end is in sight, but we have the Glen next week. We have Richmond, which is Saturday night race, so Friday night for us, and we have the week after Daytona, which is also Saturday night. So make sure you are subscribed, so that way you're not looking on Sunday morning being like, where's the video? Because the race already happened. I mean, I'm sure you're watching, you know what's going on, but I highly recommend jumping in there. So SV Jesus does not get it on the pole, but he is starting second. Every time we go to a road course, his price just keeps 12.7 this week. Second is Kyle Larson, starting 27th at 10.2. Then another massive drop off: Bell, Byron, ZILISCH, and Chase Elliott, and Christopher Buescher. So that's 9K and above. I guess let's start with the SVG. I feel like we've been better at acclimating. We at least need to have some exposure to him, right? Because when he dog walks the field, gets to the front, and is the guy you need did it in Mexico, did it at Sonoma, did it at like all these
Chicago,
places. Like,
really.
you have to at least have some exposure, right? Even at
I
12-7.
think I don't see a world where Shane isn't the best car on race day or today when you're watching this. Look, you can look at practice times all you want, but something I was mentioning in the Win the Race Discord, which if you're not subscribed to Win the Race, go do that now. $30 a month, incredible stuff. If even not just for the Discord alone, which has incredible insights from multiple different people. But in there, I was mentioning how since Coda, Shane hasn't shown up with a top 5 practice car. And yet he had put it on the pole in the previous 3 road courses, and he's on the front row here. And that practice information didn't necessarily say how good he was going to be in the race. And so I think the same is going to happen here, where he's somebody that just gets a feel for the car. And then once we go green and we're live, he says, all right, time to turn it on. I'm going to kick the shit out of all of you.
Well, and he's also been here before, which is like another wrinkle in his cap,
Exactly.
or another feather in his cap, wrinkle in his, I don't know what the expression is, but he knows the Glen, and he has a little bit of drive as Christopher Buescher moved him and stole his win last year. So
Yep.
Well, everything leans to Shane.
I think
beyond him though, Larson, Bell, William Byron, Connor ZILISCH, Chase Elliott, Christopher Buescher. We have names. We have potential movers. Who is the most compelling to you in terms of what we saw in practice, what you expect to see on Sunday? Who could actually make up some serious ground? Because like Elliott's compelling as hell. We already talked about ZILISCH coming into the week. I feel like getting this area right is huge. Are we going to get it right?
Well, it's going to be a tough time to try to fit both Shane and Larson into a lineup, which I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to do that. But Larson did not look great in really either session on the long run in practice or in qualifying. He just wasn't able to pick up any time from the practice where everybody else was going like 5 to 6 tenths faster. And then, you look at ZILISCH, who he had a wonky qualifying run, and that he was the only guy that ran one lap and then got pulled in the pit road because he was one of the first cars out during his run. So I think there might be a little bit more in that car, and he looked pretty good in practice. He had decent pace in practice, but we're also in a situation where we don't know who's going to race how. Like some guys are going to be going for points, some guys are going to be going for the win, and so there's a lot of unknowns with this race being just 3 weeks until the playoffs, and a lot of guys racing for something, whether it's the championship, regular season championship, or a playoff spot.
Yeah, I think it's really a matter of figuring out, it's obviously more of a guess, even if it's an educated one, about where, like, do they really have an upside to win the race? Are teams coming in going, well, SVG is going to kick our ass, so like, why are we? Let's be smart about this. Let's get our stage points, maybe get some playoff points, and see what we can do. If you believe that somebody has that upside or needs a win to really make themselves a playoff contender, looking at you, Tyler Reddick, looking at you.
Yeah, but Reddick is fairly safe on points, though. So,
I mean, that's the assumption. But if we get a Buescher win this week, and then we get, something weird at Richmond, or we're going to Daytona, and the last spot is basically either Reddick if it's on a new winner. So, like, I don't know.
With only 3 races left, though, and 3 spots still available, I feel like Reddick is fairly comfortable, especially on a road course where this may not be his best road course, quite possibly his worst, but he should be good enough just to withstand like any bad happenings. And even if he wrecks at Daytona, he should be in a pretty comfy spot heading into that race.
All right. So Bell or Byron, do either of those guys feel like even if they don't win the race, they'll be right there? Because looking at practice reports, the 24 team seems to have it figured out. And this is a spot where Byron, I believe 2 years ago, won the race. Didn't he win this 2 years ago? Or was that the road?
He might have. I haven't. I basically like blocked everything pre-SVG out of my head when looking at road courses, because it changes the game. because it also changes teams' strategy.
Yeah. So do you think Bell, Byron are in play? Do you think they're starting too far forward? And then Christopher Busher, who was the other guy who was supposed to be really good in practice, and we had a lot of we weren't very excited about him coming into the week. Do you have a little more optimism that he could be pretty dang good, even if he's not winning the race, at least racing for a top 2-3 spot on Sunday?
It's just hard to know what Busher's game plan is going to be with him right on the cut line battling teammate Ryan Preece. I came into the week looking at it in that he's going to be racing Ryan Preece. That's his main priority this weekend, is not getting too aggressive to go for a win, not racing guys for 1 or 2 spot difference in the finishing order. It's finishing ahead of his teammate. I think that's
and by the way, Byron did win the Glen in 2023.
Okay. Yeah. So again, pre-SVG. But yeah, so Busher is not somebody I want to get heavily invested in or really against, whether it's DFS or betting, looking at this with him starting near the front now, because you really don't know what he's going to do on race day. Some of these other guys, you can assume like, okay, they're points racing or they're going for the win because they need a win.
Would you think Byron's points racing after getting his win last week?
I think Byron is good enough and fast enough that he can race for a win while also maintaining track position and stay ahead of his fellow regular season championship contenders.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to start a lot of lineups with SVG and Byron. I think that's a great way to play it. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think Byron will go a little bit under rostered too, because Larson, ZILISCH, Elliott, all those guys starting way further down the board and way more and at the same price.
Yeah, and Byron was actually good here until he had an issue. Like he was 5th after stage 2, ended up being trapped. So maybe he does stay out. Maybe he tries to get stage points in stage 2 if he doesn't think it's there. But the speed he clearly brought, based on what I'm kind of seeing in the practice reports, makes me think that he could be, even if he's not a legitimate contender. And we've seen wonky things. Like we obviously expect SVG to blow the doors off of the field and be the guy you need. But there was a point where I think it was Chicago where there was a real outcome of his tire. Was it on, not on? And if that tire comes rolling off, or was that Mexico? I don't remember.
I think that was
that was Mexico.
It might have been Mexico, but regardless, but
that tire comes off, all of a sudden it's a race. And then like Ty Gibbs was incredible. And then, obviously he ended up getting trapped because of that caution. So weird stuff can happen, even if they're in theory on the right pit cycle. And then a weird caution comes out because Catherine legged somebody and all of a sudden, he's trapped and he's working his way through it. Maybe he's ultimately gets there anyways because he's that good. But Byron is definitely compelling, and as we look at the odds board, the books clearly think that too. Let's talk 8Ks and let's talk the aforementioned Tyler Reddick, who's starting 21st to 8,800. Ty Gibbs starting 14th to 87. Briscoe's another amazing effort for him. He could easily be up there all day, just like he was in Sonoma, and be just kind of rock solid. McDowell starting 6th. Ross Chastain starting 4th. The Dinger 18th, Denny Hamlin 22nd. I guess let's start here. We have Busher. No, wait, we already talked to him. We have Reddick, we have Gibbs, we have Dinger, and we have Hamlin. Do any of those guys feel like legit movers for you that even if they aren't race winning contenders are going from, high teens to like maybe a top 5 finish?
So for me, this is gross because we haven't really gone there in a long time. But I do think that somebody like Gibbs, because he is in the situation of he needs a win. So he's going to be on the race winning preferred strategy at every point of the race. And obviously that you run the risk there of him getting caught under caution or wrecking because he's going to be more aggressive than other guys. But I do think that of this group, outside of maybe McDowell, but McDowell with him starting 8 spots ahead, I'd rather play Gibbs to get those placement points knowing that he's going to be on the same strategy to try to win the race.
Yeah, and like has been pretty rock solid at all 3 road courses. I think he makes sense, and I think given his starting position being a little bit farther forward, like people would rather, I'm going to spend the extra $100 and get those 7 spots with Tyler Reddick, who I also think is good at on road courses, or I'm going to go down and grab like a dinger who I think could actually contend here, and I'm getting 4 more spots. I'm saving money, so I could see him being somebody who's a little bit overlooked. Now, in the other group, the McDowell, the Briscoe, and the Chastain, both all looked really good. All had speed, obviously qualified strong. We've seen them at different road courses be really, really good. Do you think kind of in that Byron mold, any of them make sense as like a pair with SVG and hope they do well? Or do you think they're starting too far forward to make sense even at a reduced cost?
So I will say, I think the highest upside guy who also brings the highest probability range is McDowell.
Okay.
Whereas like Briscoe and Chastain both already having a win.
Yeah.
I think they can probably stay up there, but also they'd be fine losing spots if it gave them the opportunity to get stage points and improve maybe or lock in their current playoff situation. So it's more difficult with these guys already having wins and not necessarily being as quick to beat Shane. I mean, if they stay up front, sure, but I think there's a good possibility they're running in the back half of the top 10 too, and are just fine doing that as well.
Is there any world where we go with McDowell instead of Shane?
No.
Okay.
Like obviously, if you're max entering a GPP, something that we don't do here, you're 150 lineups. I don't think you can play every one with Shane because there is a chance that he wrecks or he's got an issue. But the vast majority of them, I think you're going to need Van Gisbergen, just like we talked about at Sonoma, where he led like 70% of the race.
Yeah.
And Dominator does come into play with a guy like him here.
Yep. All right. Let's talk sevens. Blaney, Bowman, Bush, Priest, Logano, Hocevar, Cindric, Suarez, Brad K. An interesting range. I'm not sure, honestly, that I guess I'll ask you this. Is there anyone in the 7K range you want to click on?
Not necessarily. It's kind of gross. I think Bowman is probably the guy that intrigues me most, but I think he's starting a little bit too far up. But outside of that, there's nobody in there that I want to put my money on to do better.
Yeah, like I love Bowman this week. I bet him top 5, top 10. I think he makes sense. But given that he's starting there, it's hard for me to suggest he's the guy. And even if he moves up to third or fourth, like I don't know, I don't think he's a race winning contender. Kyle Busch.
So he was kind of ass in practice.
Okay.
And then he was fast in qualifying. It's hard to, he's going to do whatever is necessary or possible to be up front when it matters most. But I think it's much more likely that he actually goes the opposite direction and is either the first guy that wrecks out because he's doing that, or he just winds up finishing in the mid-teens because he gets, his car's not great on come race day.
Yeah. And no interest in Suarez starting 19th, especially what we've seen from Ross.
No effing chance.
Okay.
I feel so bad for mi amigo because with Trackhouse fielding a 4th car and Connor ZILISCH, I do think that they've already kind of turned the page on Daniel, and they're now like, okay, we can say on the peripherals, like we want to get all 3 cup regulars in the playoffs, but in reality, they're looking at, we want to make ZILISCH get as comfortable as possible before he jumps into this car next year, while focusing on the 1 and the 88 of Shane, looking forward to the playoffs.
Yeah, they want to get him in because it's a payday, but they know he's gone and they're not going to actually try that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Bubba Wallace, Todd Gilliland, John Hunter, Eric Jones, Josh Berry, Austin Dillon, Noah Gragson are your 6K options. Here's your back markers that have the ability to move forward. Do you trust any of them?
But do they? That's the
Fair.
thing. Yeah, I think the only one that's semi-interesting to me, holy crap, watching the Xfinity race, Sheldon Creed is doing the crab walk. I think Todd Gilliland is the only guy in this area that is even semi-interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I think he has potential, but I feel like we do that a lot with him, and he's just
Yeah.
never really that good. And Gragson just continues to have issues, and road courses is obviously not his forte. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a gross range. Maybe Josh
Yes, it
Berry
is.
or maybe Eric Jones. I don't know. That means we have to go to the 5K to try and find value. Stenhouse, Haley, Zane Smith, Ty Dillon, Cole Custer, Riley Herbst. I'll include the 4K too, where we get Cody Ware, the Legatron, and JJ Yaley. Is a leg SVG start just going to be our standard start?
1,000,000%. You read my mind, sir. There is no way I'm getting out of here without creating at least one lineup with Catherine Legg.
Yeah, I mean, for all the shit she takes for driving really slow and being really terrible, she does, like, she's had some decent weeks where she's been somewhat viable for consider.
And also too, I think I don't think a lot of people notice it that on practice day, she's getting a feel for the car for the first time on a specific track, and then come race day, she continuously improves throughout that race. And so I
Yeah.
do think that with her starting 38th, she comes from a background of road course racing anyways. I would much rather play her thinking she's just going to run in the back and gain 5 spots and be semi-safe that way and be the cheapest option on the board, because now you can squeeze basically whoever you want in here.
Yeah. What about the rest of this kind of barf zone? Right, Ricky Stenhouse, Justin Haley, Zane
So,
Smith.
okay, we cannot go any further without claiming in practice.
Sporty.
Justin Haley claimed Sporty Driver of the Week. He looked incredible. Now, some of that was him and Michael McDowell playing Rabbit, playing Chase the Rabbit and such. But the one thing I noticed is that when McDowell came down pit road during practice, Haley was still the fastest car on track afterwards.
Okay.
So he clearly has some pace in this 7 car. Now it's whether or not he can put it all together on a race when he's already starting in traffic is the worry.
Yeah. I guess this would be my question. Is there a world where he's a top 10 car? And if so, I think we should be playing a bunch of him.
I mean, at 5,700 though, we really just need like a top 15 or even a top 20.
When we look at betting odds, obviously the top 10 market won't be up, but if we get a number on him, is that within his range of outcomes? Let's put it that way.
I think it's possible if what we saw today in practice in terms of his long run pace and all that stuff is actually real, then yeah, sure. I think it's
because if you tell me he has top 10 within his range of outcomes, and even if he doesn't quite get there, he's a little bit short. The fact that he's starting 23rd is really compelling. So I'm going to go ahead and click him too as we get this lineup going. Now I'm going to scroll back up. We're going to get through this, and we're going to build 3 lineups as we do each and every week. So we started Legatron.
William Byron.
Okay. Legatron, SVG, Justin Haley, William Byron. We're doing all of our favorite clicks. Let's see here. Do we want to, I guess, I mean, we could just do this. I think this will, yep.
Okay, so my only reservation to playing Larson in this spot is you have to assume 50% of people are going to be playing Larson in this spot. Now, is there a leverage off of him?
Is there?
Especially with this build.
And is it worth going there? Because in theory, is Larson like going to be good chalk at 50%, or is he going to be terrible chalk? Because as we've seen Larson, he could be really, really bad. So I guess ZILISCH, I mean, Chase.
So you and I talked about this before jumping on here, but Nobody is going to want to look at Tyler Reddick after the season that he's put together and how many people have been burned by him. But if he comes home with a top 10, I would not be surprised on a week when nobody wants to play him.
I'm going to be interested to see what his ownership is. I don't think anyone's going to want to bet him even at almost 50-1. But I do feel like people could talk themselves into him on a road course, even as bad as his season has been. Obviously, it's not going to let me load it right now, but I can pull up his numbers over here, where he's actually been pretty solid. 6th at Sonoma, 3rd at Chicago Street, 3rd at Coda, obviously a 20th at Mexico City. I think he was in the group that got trapped after the caution. Like I think he's been better than people want to admit. And he started, although he did start on the pole and got 3rd at Coda, started 4th and got 3rd at Chicago, and started 8th and got 6th, though he was just kind of maintained wherever he started. Started 22nd at Mexico City, finished 20th. So he could easily start 21st and finish 19th, 18th.
But I'm just looking at it from like a leverage play, in that most people are going to see some of that and be like, oh, this is his worst road course. And
yeah, I just think he's priced weirdly that I'm definitely open to it. I just don't know what the other click is. I think I'd rather do something like, and maybe it's gonna be super chalky, but like the Dinger and Elliott feels so much better.
All right, yeah, I'm comfortable with that, because even if Elliott doesn't have elite speed, that team will be good enough to be
and
decent.
like we've seen it, even maybe not as much this year, but a lot last year, where he was like willing to do a little bit of different things to stay out when he doesn't have a race winning car, and locks up like a 5th place finish.
Well, apparently we like Chevy because we're tied up.
Based on what I saw from the practice reports and qualifying order, the Chevy seemed to do pretty well. So I think there's a reason. All right, we'll save that. We'll build a second lineup. As always, we're always interested in your thoughts and kind of what we're building, as well as not MMA, as well as if there's a driver that we missed on. Did you think we should have hit on someone that we didn't, or did you think we were into someone that you don't think is worthwhile? Let us know. We're always down to get that feedback. Do you want to start SV Jesus again?
Yeah, this could be our second Shane lineup.
What's the next click? You can make any name, any number, any.
I mean, I still like ZILISCH this week.
Yeah,
to be
I think
honest with
ZILISCH
you.
is the click.
Maybe not a race winning car, but I do think that he's going to be much better than.
But if you told me he started 25th and finished 4th, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, we didn't put him in the last one, but I like Gibbs.
All right.
Too.
I could do Gibbs. And I think we do Reddick too.
Oh man, now we're getting dangerous.
Yeah, probably. Let's see here. Custy Burger.
That's gross.
I mean, Justin Haley and Leg is probably the easy click, but that's probably a little.
That is dangerous doing that.
Yeah, we don't need to do that. If we do Custy Burger but then we're like Herbst or Balicki.
Is he in the 66?
I believe so.
Yeah, I want no part of that car.
Yeah.
That's the slowest vehicle created in the history. That's the slowest car ever created that is supposed to be racing.
So my other thought is if we can back out Reddick then, and we can go up a little bit and we can try and get involved. I mean, we could do you like any of Stenhouse, Gregson? We did Gillen last time, right? Or no?
No, we didn't.
Okay, let's do him. My computer is attacking me. That's fun. Eric Jones? No, we can't do that.
I'm
He's
just
so
not a
bad at
fan
road
of
courses.
Jones though.
Huh?
I'm not a big fan of Jones
Yeah, he's so
on
bad at
road courses.
John Hunter, Stenhouse.
I mean, I'd rather play like Zane Smith at 5,600 than play Eric
Okay.
Jones at 64.
Sure. And then we'll play Mienko.
I don't know, man. This feels worse than squeezing Reddick in and then having Leg and somebody else.
Brad K or Bubba. I mean, we could do the Bubba Reddick thing next if you want, but
Oh man, I don't trust Bubba from 15th. I think with this lineup, I'd feel more comfortable playing Jones because of where he's starting. I really don't trust Keselowski or Wallace on a road course to give us points when they're already starting 15th and 16th.
Do we want to punt Gillen? No, because then we'd be in the same range of the hosts of our Cindric Suarez.
Yeah. I think Gillen, because he's starting so much further back, feels more comfortable.
Do you want to punt Gibbs and go up a little bit? I mean, I'm just thinking we have $700. So is there somewhere to pivot that we want to do that?
That would only get you to Elliott or Busher.
Yeah, which I think I like. But the other thing we can do is punt and ZILISCH, but then we go up to like Bell or Byron. I don't know that I want to do that.
Yeah, I'd rather play ZILISCH with the placement points.
So maybe we just...
Sometimes the best ones are the ones that feel the worst.
Well, yeah, and I'm wondering if like our leverage is the fact that we didn't spend all the money, and that is putting us in a build that's maybe a little bit unique, even if some of the pieces aren't super not chalky. Okay. My question to you: do we dare build a SVG free lineup? And if we dare, who's starting it off? Is it McDowell? Is it Briscoe? Is it Chastain? Is it YRB? Is it Kyle F. and Bush?
Man, this is such a hard decision. I think the only guy who's starting near the front, or the guy that I worry about the most winning instead of Shane is McDowell.
Okay. McDowell. So then I think if we're starting McDowell and not starting with SVG, I think we put Larson in. I also wonder if we should put Byron in.
I don't hate that because I do think Byron's going to be really good.
And I could see Byron being a leading a bunch of laps, even if it's off cycle and McDowell's pitting and stuff, if they get on different strategies. Byron's like, I know I'm not going to win, so I'm going to lead a bunch of laps in stage 2 and win maybe stage 2 and then give it like a 7th place finish.
Yeah. The only worry I have with like starting a lineup like this is where are the laps led coming from? You know,
well, ideally it's McDowell early and then Byron and then Larson.
Yeah, McDowell would have to get it after the pit cycle though, like in stage 2, because starting in the 3rd row, I just don't know if he's going to get to the front before Shane checks out or before even Blaney checks out, you know?
Ross Chastain.
He's starting on the 2nd row.
Chase Briscoe.
So it's interesting you say that because I do think Briscoe has the pace. And I feel like that's so different that not many people are going to play that, or nobody's going to play that.
If we're going to get off of SVG, I'm happy to get to all the chalky pieces. And I think if we're going from SVG to Briscoe, that's the difference maker right there.
And this opens up a way different type of build.
So if we did like a Haley, that would get us to like Suarez or Keselowski. If we went down to Legatron, That gets us up to the dinger, which is kind of
Yeah, it
fun.
feels way better.
Yeah. I think that's the move right there.
Man,
Briscoe, Larson, Byron, Reddick, Leg, Allmendinger for all the money.
that's disgusting.
We did it. We did it. That's all the money.
Legatron.
Legatron. All right. We built 3 lineups. We will be back in your feed Wednesday morning, here Tuesday night to recap the week that was.
We got to check outrights real quick.
Oh, for sure. No, yeah, I was just wrapping that up. I do want to pull up our betting card just so people can see. Close this. Bowman top 5, 8-1. Bowman top 10 plus 240. SV Jesus 165. And Bowman over KFB plus 130. Brian has Bowman and Briscoe top 10 at even money, which feels real nice. So let me refresh this one time just to make sure. I know it was moving, but SVG, Byron 6, Connor ZILISCH 7, McDowell 850, Blaney 12, Briscoe 12, Bell 15, Busher 15, Ross, KFB, Bowen, Clarkson, Hocevar. That's 20-1 and less. Is there a name? Obviously, we're really happy to be holding our SVG tickets, given what his line is kind of floated to. But is there, if you, let me put it this way. Is there a name or two that you could convince yourself based on number, based on upside, based on potential is worth a nibble? And if not, if I said you have to bet one other driver not named SVG, who would it be?
At current price or just in general?
At current price.
Oh, man. Probably Byron, as gross as that sounds. Like, I just don't see a world where the other guys are actually racy or pacey enough to actually keep up with Shane, whereas Byron, we know the type of speed that he has, and he showed it in practice. And so for me, he's rightfully so the second favorite going into the race.
So Busher was like 20 something when we didn't want to bet him. Now he's
I'm not playing Busher. I just don't see I don't see him getting like to the front in a way like he did last year, because he didn't have that same pace in practice this year. And as I said, I keep saying this, he's racing Ryan Preece and Ryan Preece only this week, unless it's coming down to the last stage and somebody who doesn't have a win is in the lead, and then he's going to get different. But early on, I don't think he's going to be doing that.
Chastain or Chase Briscoe?
I'd rather play Chastain to win.
Yeah, he's interesting especially at a given his price.
Yeah, because you also know, like, he doesn't give an F about who he's racing.
Right. And I guess my question to you would be then, but with the Trackhouse Alliance, and he'd probably still race him harder than most teams would, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've ever talked to Ross Chastain in the garage, or if you watched when he does his interviews, he has no friends in the garage, especially on race day. Like, he doesn't care if he's your teammate or what. He is out there to win the damn race, and he doesn't give a crap who you are.
Yeah, I mean, Carson Hocevar literally has no friends, but Chastain's pretty dang close.
Yeah, like Chastain has said it more than once. He's not friendly with people because they're his competition.
Larson, Elliott, Gibbs, the Dinger, Reddick, Logano, Hamlin, Haley, Keselowski. Like, I guess if we're really into the, like, it's hard to bet anyone not named SVG in terms of outrights, even if you're not betting them outright. Do you want to get exposure to any of these names, maybe through top 5, top 10 matchups, that kind of stuff? Like, is there room for Larson at a big number? Is there room for a Chase Elliott? We both really like Ty Gibbs, and we've seen what he can do. Is he more of like a top 5 option? The Dinger, same thing. Is there any option or opportunity in here for you with these names and numbers?
So I do think a guy like Gibbs, Dinger, and Reddick, I think those three in this group are the most attractive in terms of throwing a shekel on an outright, just simply because none of them have wins. Where the other guys, yeah, they could luck into track position late and be the race winner, but I just don't. That's assuming chaos happens, and it's hard to do that at their prices. Whereas the other guys, they're going to do everything possible to probably get to the front. And Reddick at 45 on a road course, I know he hasn't won a road course in God knows how long, but he's good enough. I think if he found track position, he could win too.
We're going to do it to ourselves, aren't we? God damn it.
I'm putting it on the card right now.
Oh my God. My other question to you is, if you have live betting opportunities, is there anybody that maybe their number doesn't make sense right now, or a little bit short for what you're looking for, but you think either they show a good amount of passing early, or you think you let them run around a couple laps, the number will shift a little bit, especially as SVG in theory gets shorter? Is there anybody for those live bettors out there that you're going to be keeping an extra eye on?
Yeah, I definitely think who was that? Oh, Kyle Busch. So I know there's a lot of people out there that have the 350, 250, 100, 150, whatever the hell the number is, 66. 18 is not a number you should be playing on Kyle Busch at any track at this point in his career. But if he does have speed in this race, and say he's even like a 10th or 2 slower than Shane, I do think depending on how your card's built, taking a flyer on him is not a terrible idea, because if the caution fall right, or say he hits it right and he's up front, he is going to block his ass off, and he probably would spin Shane in order to win the race.
Yeah. I think he's interesting for live. Larson probably moves too quickly. I think Gibbs and Dinger are two people that I want some exposure to. I haven't figured out exactly how, but I think they could make sense as people who, oh, look, they're making moves. And it's hard too with the road course to kind of like track the laps and stuff and giving yourself time. But if they're moving through the field well, it looks like they're gaining speed. Their lap times after 5 and 10 laps are kind of right there. They could be legitimate options that you kind of take a look at. And I think maybe their numbers float a little bit. Obviously, Caesars is the only book open right now, so curious to see when we write later what the numbers look like and kind of where it floats to. Anyone else? I mean, obviously we don't have top 10s, top 5s. We don't know what those numbers are going to be like, but is there any other driver that maybe we either we haven't really talked about very much, or someone that you want to make sure we hit on that, like, I'm probably not going to bet they're outright, but I think there could be opportunities to back them in market. I just don't know how yet. Is there anyone jumping out to you when I say that?
Yeah, it's I think Chase Elliott. There's nobody in the field that I feel is safer, especially at a road course. And he's been, despite him being invisible at the very front, he has been solid enough that I think top 5, top 10 markets on him are definitely live this week, as the books are kind of looking elsewhere. And as we speak right now, Shane Van Gisbergen just completely biffed it with 18 to go in the Xfinity race, also damaging teammate Connor ZILISCH. So we'll see how that goes on Sunday. But yeah, I think Elliott is definitely somebody I'm looking at in the auxiliary markets.
Okay. I like that call. I say I want to get some exposure to Byron, but like I don't know if that's going to be possible given where his number sits. It's going to be really hard to.
Yeah, it's hard with Byron, especially because I do think that Shane probably checks out early, and I think everybody actually gets longer.
Yeah, so maybe he's somebody that if I can get double digits on him, and he looks like he's pretty good, I could be interested. Okay, Brian. Well, I think we're going to cut it a little bit short there. We talked DraftKings. We talked through the outright market. It really is a Shane Van Gisbergen and log out week. let us know down in the comments who you're interested in from a DraftKings perspective. If there's anybody you would disagree with us on, or someone we should have hit on a little bit harder that maybe we didn't, definitely let us know. We're always down to chat through that. Brian and I will be back. We'll try and loop back and answer as many questions as we can. Like I mentioned, the newsletter will feature the full betting card, write-ups on our favorite drivers for DraftKings. We'll have grid rival tools, all that kind of good stuff in there. So make sure you check that out. Go check out our friends over at Win the Race. $30 a month gets you in for a month of the Discord, of the tools, of the sims, of the everything. It's super awesome. You're gonna be a fan, and then you're gonna want to stay forever. So go check that out. Go do that. Make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe on the way out if you get to do that. Go check out our newsletter and subscribe over there. Costs you nothing, helps us out tremendously. That is Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Let's cash some tickets. Let's put some money on DraftKings, and we'll be back next week to recap the whole damn thing. We'll talk to you next time.